Yep. I have hit record and now I'm going live.
It said ask permission to give me a record. I have to get, you didn't give me permission.
I'll do it again, but I told it to. I'm so sorry, BZ. Bear with me just a moment. It's
And this one I had to agree it's being live streamed.
yes, you will always now. I'm actually surprised.
I think that's a good thing, however.
No, it is. It's an absolutely great thing. I'm just surprised. Well, now I'm showing when I go in here to try to give you permission.
And you're frozen.
Oh, you're
now who was frozen? Me or Sheila?
Sheila.
Okay.
It says I can't have it. Says you have to give it to me.
It's asking me if I want to remove permission.
Well, yeah, remove it and give it to me again.
Okay, that's so weird. Okay, let me try giving it to you again.
All
right, well, how about now? Did that work?
Nope.
Can you hear me now?
All right, well, I guess I'll have to send it to you afterwards. I don't know what to do. It's not letting me do it, and we're live already, so it's showing on my end that I gave you permission. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. All right, well, I'm so sorry, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. This is Conscious Conversation Central. We are live, and I am with the GalPal Posse. Yay!
This is so fun.
I know, and it's been a while. So Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger, I'm so glad to have you ladies with me tonight. And this was actually BZ's idea. So we are, I'm pretty sure I already know what you want just by the title that you chose, BZ, Navigating the Minefields Radiantly. I got to be honest with you. The first thing that came in my head was, well, okay, in my case, maybe not so radiantly, but I mean, I'm navigating them. I'm still here. I'm not blown up, but I don't know about the radiantly part.
Well, it was a good way to get all of the info that came into it with the least amount of words and the most amount of ways you could look at those words that are in there.
Nice.
Well, I would love to hear. So everybody's starting to pile in now. I'm so glad that everybody could join us. So far, I've got Stacy and Jennifer have owned up to being in the chat. We have 4 other
friends are gathering.
Yes. So please feel free to let us know who you are and where you're watching from if you'd like. And this is an interactive show. If you have questions, you want to add something, I can see the chat and I am keeping up with it. So BZ, tell me what made you choose this. How did this come about?
You'll have to repeat the question because you were roboing, through the question set.
Yeah.
I'm so bummed. Okay. All right. Well, can you hear me now?
I can.
All right. So hopefully for this moment. How did this particular topic, title, and all roll in? I know we're so fortunate. BZ gets these videos of conversations that roll in complete with title. I'm so grateful for that. Because let me tell you, that's one of the hardest things, right? Because it's one of the hardest things I've ever done is try to figure out what to call something.
Right.
So please tell me how, what rolled in when you saw this?
Well, like I said, it was interesting because it was talking about first I was musing about all the stuff that's going on and where people are on it and what would be a helpful thing to play with for people who are, it's kind of like rows of seats. So people who are in the front rows gathering around in the energetic envelope, these are things that are maybe tools that they could go out and then when they're talking to other people or meeting other people or connecting in different ways, that would be helpful for them. And then people who just wandered by and said, wow, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. Maybe this looks weird. Maybe this will mitigate the weirdness I'm seeing out there, sort of thing. And they move from the back row seats to the front row seats. But the part of it was that minds are, first I was thinking of mind, M-I-N-D, and then I thought, well, it's like, for a lot of people, it's like a minefield out there. And then I thought, oh, okay, well, so that's what was playing in that. And that's when the title came in and all sorts of videos about it, that how do you navigate it? So you, same thing of what I just described about, kind of where you are in the auditorium of experiences, right? There are a fair number of people who know what's going on, who know that, the false construct is unwinding and unbinding, and who know that what you think is happening out there really isn't, and it means different things. And there's a lot of subtext on all different levels all over the place. And then there's some who are looking at it going, what is going on? And they don't understand about subtext or in this realm or these realms, right? And all of those kinds of things. And they're just kind of freaking out because they realize that this has been going on for a while and they've been going la la la, trying to block it out. And now they can't anymore. And they're like, whew, whew, what was that? Oh my God, sort of a thing. So there are minefields to navigate for both, for those who are sound asleep, lots of them, for those who are, they hit a road bump, starting to wake up, and for those who are awake in various awakenesses on consciousness level, on the depth of knowledge and different things. And there are minefields for all of us in all of those areas. And so radiantly navigating the minefields is going to be the best way, no matter where you are, what's coming in, to navigate it, because that's going to mean that you're spending 99.9% of your time not up here, right? And the 1/10 of 1% that you are, it's completely in service to your heart mind, your high heart, doing research, looking with the sermon or looking with a technical eye to see if this is some kind of audio fake or video fake or a play on something, those kinds of things. So this is very helpful if it's only for a tiny portion, and it's on particular hunt and discern and hunt and research type of errands, and then coming back and reporting so that there can be clarity that comes through.
Right. Well, I have to say, when you first sent me the title, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to join you, Lisa, just to let everyone know I've been having some internet issues, and I've shared with BZ before this. So last Wednesday and this Wednesday, I had the Windstream folks out here, or I'm sorry, they're calling themselves Kinetic now, out here. And both times, I got to the experience of speaking to rather young folks who, are in varying stages of awakening, right? And so when you first, so I got this from you with the title and all today, just after having experienced the, having this for the second time in a week, right? It was last Wednesday. A young man came here. He had "We the People" tattooed on his arm. So that was great for a conversation to come in. And then this fella, it was just so very interesting. But at any rate, when I read the title about the radiantly, I immediately got that all of it for whatever the reason. I saw that we all carry our light and our frequency in varying different ways, right? And I knew exactly what you were speaking on, and we're going to be shining at different levels and vibratory frequencies at different times, right? I mean, because varying degrees within ourselves even, right? I mean,
oh, that's part of the, sorry, I can't mute and
No, you're fine.
Cut the ongoing song, but that's radiant right there. They're radiating.
No, I'm feeling what that is. Somebody got a new toy, didn't they, just recently?
Yes, but they're using each other as the new toys right this moment.
Oh, okay. Well,
Luckily,
that's
their
awesome.
ears stay in place and don't come off like the.
I was gonna say,
But parts of the, as often happens, parts of the title have many, many, many different meanings and ways that you can unpack not only the meaning just in plain linear words, but the meaning that came through in the packets of information. And the radiantly is relates to how we, how we're navigating and how we use our own, as you said, our own radiant light, our own heart light, our own energy and frequency as we go through things. Part of that radiantly, if you're wanting to navigate something, if you're seeing stuff building, maybe it's building because you can see more information coming out, or precipices are being reached all over the place by different people now that we're.
uh-oh.
What was that?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Was that something of yours?
No.
Oh, that was very interesting, as it was not anything of mine either.
No, I think we're radiatingly right. This is a good time for this thing. So, hey, before the world goes dark, I just want you to know that. So when you're thinking about that, to want to navigating what's going on for your own stuff, people directly, the nearest, whatever that circles are for you, it could be family, it could be work, it could be friends, it could be whatever, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe all those beings have left your circle because they figure you're whacked, and now it's just occasional contacts here and there. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. When you want to navigate that and navigate all of the minefields within inside of you, because you're changing on all different levels all of the time, and at a hyper accelerated rate, that if you can come at it from a radiant way, you can shift all of the things that you need to shift. And you can do it in a way, doing it in a way that's intentional is going to give you the best navigation skills. It's going to give you the most flexibility and the most articulation in the way you can look at things and move things, see something, scan it, or take in some of it, integrate it, and just let other parts of it, or wholesale let it all go. Right now, a lot of things, because so much. Think of, if have you ever seen, it could be a really hot day and rain is coming down the pavement, and it steams. The pavement is steaming because it's the transference of the different molecules changing in temperature.
Right.
So right now, an awful lot of beings all over the planet are doing that kind of thing. They're steaming from all of the hot transformative fire, right? It's all over the place. And when you look at that, if you do it intentionally, you'll know to kind of however you do it, to say, intentionally see that, pay attention. Because otherwise, if you've been in the habit or been asked to, as part of one of the things that you were meant to do when you come here, is to do a collective transmutation of energies, right? You don't need to do that anymore. It's that ability and that kind of, we'll say, request is the best way to do it, to help do that. That stage is complete, and it must now all be done by each individuated being as they come into their individuation, their awakeness to that. And you don't need to revisit those things, because always a little piece would come in. So you ever wonder why seem to be more recently big things would come by again? We're doing this again. And mostly it would be set off by something that you were doing for the collective. So if you can intentionally, like I said, that's where that's a minefield coming at you, and you can intentionally, if there's a little bit left for you, great, you just integrate that, you let the rest go, and it's you're not even skipping a beat. It's almost like you notice, to use that visual metaphor, the steam rising off the pavement. You look for a minute, you say, oh, okay, there's a little piece here. It integrates in, you let the rest go. And then you also are putting shields up so none of the rest will come into you to have to be transmuted.
So,
And so if you, go ahead.
well, I just wanted to make sure I understood what you're saying here. Okay. So I'd like to repeat what I think I heard you say, because you know how that goes with me. So if I understood you right, you were saying that a lot of us, and I do feel like that, so have over, in the past, transmuted things for ahead of, with the collective, or to even put it in a different terminology, because there's a lot of way showers, right? They're doing things and putting the new, either transmuting some of the old and then putting the new in the field, making it available for all, right? The opportunity, because I know I live with a blueprint setter right now, so I have someone in my immediate field who is transmuting different things, right? And then for themselves, and then that is an available choice and option for anyone to make, right? Because it's already been done. It's been pulled into the physical matter. It's out of the pre-matter template. Now it's in the physical, and it's available for all other creators to choose to play with that particular item, right? Or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so what you're saying is that in terms of the collective, if I understood it right, in terms of the collective shadow and the collective traumas that each of the singularities that we are, the physical vessels, that overall transmuting of collective energies is now complete, and each singularity then is now, it's time for them to, if they're making their choices, they're doing their work or whatever, or not, all their choices. Is that what I'm giving you, understanding you to say? There's another.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make sure, because I have seen, there's been a couple of different things that have come out in the collective recently that are saying pretty much the same thing what you're saying here. It's like, you teach a man to fish rather than give him fish.
Right.
Right.
Well, and also before it was very important that be done, because if you know the difference between the viscosity of water, right, and molasses, right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's probably a good juxtaposition. So we were beyond molasses before, and the ones who have been doing this, I've been doing this, Lisa has, many beings have, for a very long time, were swimming through the beyond molasses viscosity. And so they were not only doing their own thing, we were doing our own thing, but we were also doing it for collective streams and pieces and parts, and right, so it was not quite beyond molasses viscosity. It was a little less, right? All the while we were swimming and doing our own thing. And so that's why, because even though some did give up and some said, that's it, can't do it anymore, right? They did in various different ways, and all the power to them. I'm just such a stubborn. I know I get to this. I go, no, I reneged on that. I'm send me back. But anyways, that we brought everything out. So the viscosity got less and less dense, right? And less viscous, right? So it's so thick. And so what I'm saying is, you described it partially right. You're recounting back to me, is that part needing is not there anymore because it's been lessened, because it's been thinned out, because the air has been more rarefied all around, right?
Mhm.
And it's their part to now take over their part wholly and completely, whether that's in just in their own family lines, in their own collectives of the groupings that they're in, right?
Right,
One.
right.
Two, and this is probably the most important thing, is that that is an old method and an old tool that fit beautifully and was essential in the older energies. And it it's not the way that it needs to be done, or the way that it was most beneficial to be done, because it's too much of a blowback on each individual who's doing it now with the energies. And
Right.
so that's where, and it's important for them individually to really hone and come into mastery of the skill of shining their light, holding their light and shining their light, because every time that they do that, they bring themselves back to 0 point, right? The other way, you think of it like they have to get kind of more molassesy viscosity to get, which means their light comes down, right? To do it, and they tend to get glommed on to the other thing. This way, if they're having their lumiere quotient, so their radiant quotient, it's within them, because it's self-generating, it comes from within them out, right?
Right.
So this is taken care of first, and by the act of intentionally doing it and sending it out, it amps it up, it brightens it up, right, it has this eruptive nature coming out, which strengthens it, because because they're in 0 point, it's Gaia and source through the soul in a triangulation, and then out, and it keeps it focused. So if something comes by, and you can see Glenn, and that's why I say you'll need to practice that. It does take practice, but you integrate any piece that may have a little bit of a calling for you. The rest is completely let go of your field. The other being or the groups of beings will do it themselves. And when you come into that, the only way really to describe it is that fierce clarity, and that fierce, it's like a laser pointed fierceness of neutrality. The wattage, the beacon that comes from you, the lumiere, so the radiative nature of your light out is super amplified, right?
Right. Now, Lisa, I have sat here and watched you agree with everything that BZ is speaking on.
Yeah.
So I would love it if you yourself would take a shot at repeating back to her what you understand her to say. Because I think I'm getting it, but I want to make sure, because for some reason, and now, this has happened to me before. I didn't actually go completely somewhere while you were speaking, BC. A lot of well, that's happened before, as you all know. I was here and I was present, and I'm trying very hard to make sure I'm getting it, but something feels like it's not making the full connection. So, Lisa, would you? And plus, honestly, she lives here, so she speaks a little bit more Sheila, a little more fluent. I don't know.
Listen to the cicadas.
I
They
know
were
it's gorgeous.
agreeing with everything that BZ was saying too. That was really fun. The whole
Before you
back-
start doing that, Lisa, before you start doing that, I want to give a quick shout out to a couple of folks, and I want to say something to Q Team, because poor Q Team, I want to tell the two of y'all. He said I got removed from Facebook again, so I don't know what to say. LOL. Besides, I look crazy sending out all these friend requests. I know, Tim. I'm so sorry, honey. Because I can't every few days. I'm like, what in the hell has he done now? And so I just wanted to. He said he's officially blackballed off Facebook, but thank you for everything. I love you so much, Q Team. Go to Getter for one thing. Go ahead, go over to Getter, sign up on Getter, look for Conscious Conversation Central over there, and we still love you. We know you're. You know, I have to be honest with you. One of the only reasons that we're still around here, I think, is because I got to the point where it's almost everyone that's following me already knows all the stuff I'd be posting. And those that I really want to see it aren't seeing it anyway. It doesn't get in their, feeds and whatnot. So I just wanted to say that to you, Q Team, because he had joined us. Mike Ford has also joined us and has said, "Good evening, ladies." I wanted to let you all know that too.
Hello.
So, okay.
And
Lisa,
they're all here.
so Lisa, please do. Tell me what your understanding of what BZ just said.
Yeah, well, I think that's the most important piece you just spoke on there was the sacred neutrality. And I'm calling it sacred because it helps me to remember that I'm holding the highest aperture. I'm holding that I am that I am. And so that's how you do that. And as you do that, in the face of everything, anything, you begin to amplify your own power, which in this case, BZ was referring to your light quotient. And I was thinking of the word lumen because we've been working with LEDs, buying lights, and it's not wattage, it's lumen. So I really like that because it kind of describes your brightness. And your brightest light is in neutrality. So your greatest power is in neutrality. And I also love the word minefield. And it's kind of punny too when you think of it in terms of it's a mind field. I love that because that's so rich. It's really a tiptoe through the mind, and you can get tripped up there. And there's triggers, there's explosive triggers. And in these energetics, they're truly explosive triggers. You know, we really can blow up our lives right now because of the intensity, the heightened amplification that is happening in this moment of now. So minefields are amplified, and loving, fabulous, co-creative experiences are amplified. So knowing that helps me to traverse the minefield quite lightly, because I know that there isn't anything there for me to trip upon. Because if I do find something suddenly pop up, I was just saying this the other day to somebody, that I feel like this moment of now is one of those, I was thinking of it in terms of a training course for police officers. I've seen a lot of TV, so they practice where they have a house, you know, and the cops have to raid the house, and they throw different things at you to see how you would react very quickly, you know, and so things pop up rather unexpectedly, and it's how calm and clear headed can you stay in that, you know, moment of life or death, fight or flight sort of energetics. And it's about practicing those skills. And so I see everything that's happening right now as that jungle gym course I've set up for myself, so that as things pop up, I can remember to stay cool and calm, and just, you know, stay in my neutrality, and go, oh, look, something, you know, see it for what it is. Something has popped up, you know, and I can decide how I feel about that and what I do with that data. And staying in my sacred neutral now, I am commandeering my path. I'm not controlling anything, but I'm certainly commanding, calling forth, using my focus and attention in a way that I would use my vehicle, you know, to get me where I want to go. And that's really what's going to help in the future. I see it now as there are things that still want to pop up. And instead of beating myself up over that, oh, look, that old chestnut. I'm just like going, ooh, you know, ooh, I saw that chestnut. Woohoo, woohoo. You know, and I'm reveling in the fact that I'm commandeering my way through this, and I'm using joy to do so, because I think that's another thing that brightens my lumens. And then my path isn't dark, because it doesn't matter that I perhaps don't know what's coming around the corner. I can feel it, and my joy is going out and creating that next experience for me. And I know it's a joyful one, because that's what I bring into my sacred neutrality.
So I am getting what I am getting from both of you. I just kind of got a visual, and I asked it, would this apply? I am asking myself, is this apply to both? And I was, because what I was really shown again just now too is that really what you're speaking on then is or at least what was shown to me is, again, the toroidal shape, because we're pulling in all of, you know, there's a lot we're pulling in. I mean, you know, those that see, sense, and feel different things and are processing them, right? As it comes in and goes through for me, through this lensing mechanism anyway, how I'm handling it is then, you know, or what I make of it is then goes out into the field as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was just shown there. So, and so it makes it, all of it is available, right? Whether it's, no matter the lumens, because even if your neighbor who's not handling things so well, right? Taking stuff in, not processing all that great, all the way he's doing that is also available.
Yeah. Right.
Both
right. And this may be helpful too, because it's first of all, none of it, you know, so you had said, Lisa, we just had Lisa give an example where it's joyful and she's navigating it through, and things may comes up, and there may be a momentary, you know, again, just take the little piece left for her to integrate and let the rest go. And the neighbor who's not integrating them must not doing so well. So it's not that Lisa's joyful thing is better and the neighbor's is worse, because for Lisa, where Lisa is now, unto herself, it's where she's choosing and in this moment has arrived. And for the neighbor, it's where they're choosing and in this moment has arrived. Because remember, if you know, instead of, if Lisa looked at it from her perspective and her light, right, she could say, I'm not saying you are, but she could say, well, he's not getting it right, or where's the joy, or he, has to do X, Y, and Z. Except that neighbor probably was in serious cement viscosity, and now he's in going like this, which means he's looking around. So he's several steps up in expansionness in the neutrality field where he is. So that's huge, right?
Yeah.
That's a big steps.
Yes, it is.
So when you do this, so two things I wanted to add to your question and what Lisa was saying is that when you intentionally hold this for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
it completely replaces anything of cleaning and clearing, any shadow work, any of that kind of stuff is gone, because you're not, it is eliminated and integrated in the very act of being in the neutral zone, in the very act of being in the 0 point. So you could look at kind of a word picture where things may sizzle and fry off, right? That's the phoenix through the fire.
Yep.
It could be just evaporation and dematerialization of those things, and little bits that are integrated that add to the overall wisdom and knowing and we'll say the experiential knowledge toolbox.
Yeah.
So that'd be one part. Also, as you're doing that, it's keeps changing the energy field and enhancing and enriching and expanding the overall energy field, so that it is a help to the neighbor, because that's one of the things, aside from their own work in various ways, however they would describe that, right? It's to help them move from the concrete viscosity to not fully concrete viscosity, just to say what that is.
Right.
And what's very helpful right now, one's perception of it may not be using those words, but it's nonetheless the case. What's very helpful right now is that when you don't hold that intention and you don't emit and act upon that intention and that being in the 0 point, you get feedback instantly. And it's shining, a feedback light to show you, which mirrors that which the feedback vibration is matched to, right? So if there's a zing, is you're zinging all over the place, zinging in the ass and the head and everybody. And when you do this intentionally and you hold in that 0 point, you get feedback instantaneously. And so the zings come with you, but they have a vibrational match to the zing from whence they came, meaning there's more joy. Things line up. The other parts of your you-ness, right? Levels and vibrations, your soul and all that, can then orchestrate things to line up and come into your awareness, into your field, into the thought process or the heart blooming process, right? So it can be an internal universal field thing and an external tangible materialized thing. The feedback comes both ways.
Yeah.
And that moves you forward more. So neither is, they both just are. And one can be in the neighbors, doing the neighbors thing of coming up from concrete viscosity out of that, and all of a sudden they don't need to keep going, okay, they're slogging away for the length of time that I've been slogging away, like decades more and more, right, sort of thing. The beauty for them is they don't have to do that. Right? They can go from the just out of concrete viscosity to way into maybe just a thick syrup, which is huge, right? You think about it, or a light honey, depending on the flowers that the bees were making when they made the honey. because it can be very quick, or just in an all of a sudden feeling and connecting with the neutrality and the intentional nature. And now, they may walk by and go, hey, Lisa and I are doing the same kind of thing, because you can feel it, right?
Right.
Now, for those who have been doing it for a while and have that thing, and if something does knock them off out of that neutrality, out of that thing, it's one hell of a zinger. Just to, get up, get back with the program.
Well, because you both know I've had trouble making, sometimes with that word neutrality, making sure, and there's lots of folks out there that would say that same thing. What do you mean when you say neutrality? And we don't have to do that one this time. I do have it on my list of topics when we do just topics. That is on my list of one that I'd like to tackle in and of itself. But I mean, because again, I think I got it. I like to think I got it, but I also know too, though, that there's a shit ton of people out there who have all of this quite naturally, right? I mean, they spend their time in neutrality. But if you were to say something about it, they're like, huh? What is that? What are you talking about? So I'm not.
Well, it's their true north. It's their own internal compass. It's what they don't waste their time, however they might describe it, of not getting ahead of things, because they can feel in themselves, or they've had enough experience of doing it other people's way, or what they were supposed to do, or any of those kinds of things, and said, okay, well, yeah, whatever, but this is what works for me. And so they're doing it. And so being in neutrality means that one very simple and a shallow way to describe it, it's not this or that, it's and. That would be one way.
Yeah, that's I agree there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
and
that.
Another way is that you see it and it comes in, and it's not something that gives you a leg up or a leg down. It's right this moment. The sun is shining, and if you just can look at the sun and not be attached to whether it's shining or not, or the degrees that it's shining, because this, you're trying to grow flowers and it's too damn hot, or there's too much sun and not enough rain, or any of those kinds of things, right? Then there's an attachment to it. And yes, in a linear thing, in a materialized thing, those are things to consider. But again, when you, which is sometimes difficult to do, but when you come from neutrality, you actually mitigate those things, because it changes everything. I can give you specific examples how that happens, or what things that may occur for you. But it's astonishingly beautiful.
So something just came in for me about one of the ways, like for me personally, that I might the test, about whether or not one is in neutrality, right? Because I picked up on something that you said. You said something there about not getting head up. So if there is a thing, pick a thing, doesn't matter what the thing is, and one can view it, experience it, whatever it is, without not just attachment, but even having an opinion about it, I guess, right? Or
simply notice it.
Right. And so because I watch myself all the time about the, what's going on in the world stage, right? And how people aren't paying attention, and I wasn't either. So, it's not like I'm saying, oh my God, I've been paying attention. No, I wasn't paying attention either. And so, but it's still, so that is one of those things I sometimes still get head up about, right?
Well, you
And
can hear it. So you can look at it this way, right? If you're not getting head up about it, or if you're just noticing, so you may decide to get head up about it. That's cool, right? But if you start by noticing a headline or something the administrator has said or something that else is going on, right? And just notice it. When you do that for a moment, you are intentionally, and it may be a little difficult depending on where you are, what the headline is, what so and so said, whatever it is, right? But
Mhm.
if you intentionally hold it for a moment, you are in the neutral zone. You are in 0 point, right? You're in your
So holding it and not making a choice, not making a decision, not becoming attached, just looking at it, seeing it for what it is. That's what Lisa has said all the time. See
just
it for
notice.
what it is. Don't give it an opinion. Don't have an opinion about it. Don't form an opinion about it yet.
You
Don't
can
get
go
attached
into
to
it
it.
later if you choose to, because then if when you
Right.
choose, so let's break it down for a minute, because I think this
Oh,
will be helpful for people. So when you see something and okay, a big one right now is that there's going to be new lockdowns and this, that, and the other thing. You could beat the band and get head up all over the place. Okay, so we'll resist that for a moment and just notice it. Okay, notice from a very linear angle, what are the parts of speech, grammatically speaking, are used in the sentence, because those are very key to it. Just in that it's a very linear thing. Don't go anywhere with it, just notice that. You could notice who said it. You could notice what other things were said around that thing. What kind of flowers are blooming in the messages around that same hour, that same day, before and after, those kinds of things. Just notice, right? And then you're noticing other things. You're noticing, okay, where up in you is there something that needs to be integrated or is triggering, right? Just know. So you could spend some time noticing, and just you can get all head up to beat the band, baby, in a minute. But right now, you're just noticing. So first of all, that's keeping you in 0 point. That's keeping you in neutrality. That's letting your light radiate and shine longer. So if there's someone else directly related in your relational vortex right that moment, or to the whole field at large, which is the all field, yes, you're adding the not head up, but you're adding those lumières. You're adding that radiancy, that neutral point. Now, because you hold that, you can see so much more to notice than you ever would have been able to see if you immediately started on that first shiny head up thing that, caught your eye and you went off on. And because now you can see that, right? So you've noticed this and this and this and this and this. So a whole lot of things on a whole lot of levels. Internal noticings, external noticings, on different layered noticings, right? Different energetic noticing. So what have you done? You've brought your light, shined your lumières, you've shined that radiancy, right? To all of those different places, which all hold, right? Coalesce, cohesive structures, energetic envelopes all over the place, that some interlap, some are exchanged. So in just that 5 minute, if it's that long span, look how you have changed and raised and radiated and illumined a situation dramatically, which has actually diffused and diminished its head up quotient that could stick onto other people considerably.
well,
Does
no,
that make sense?
no, it made perfect sense. And I'm hearing Lisa's voice in my head again. Okay, so Lisa talks about very much so, and I so get it now. We what you just said, BZ, I'm seeing as part of holding your frequency, your frequency, your frequential set point, as Lisa would say, right? if and so I see what you're saying now, right? By holding that and not jumping into, well, first of all, I got to be honest with you, what I've noticed about, for me, this may not be the case for everybody, but for me, if I immediately see something and I immediately jump out of 0 point, you bet there's something there for me. If I can't even take a half a beat without jumping out of 0 point, without out of that neutrality of which you're speaking, if I got an opinion, if I got an attachment, if I can't take a second to just see it for what it is, even though, and this is because and I'm saying this about a lot of things that all of us are seeing coming back, and we see, the silliness that's going on out there, right? And what I noticed about for myself I've been trying to watch myself and how I react even within my own self, just from hearing the information, right? Not even being around anybody else, just hearing the information. So that's one thing, right? For me anyway, and that may not apply to everyone, but so I see what you're saying though, because if you can hold that frequency without any kind of
You can.
no, I know I can. I know I can.
No, I mean the if you for the you and all of us use
the proverbial
right?
use,
It's a
yeah.
choice. It's a choice to do that, and this is the moment to make those choices.
And now
because
it's
one doesn't make that choice, right?
mhm.
Then you will get immediate, instantaneous, actually faster than instantaneous feedback on not that choice. And so if you're walking down the street, you may be going zing, 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 because you are giving you feedback on the path that's the most illumined path for you and for all that you're aiding down the path. And in that noticing, so in holding that, right, and bringing that forth, like I said, you are cleaning and clearing huge amounts of stuff that may be residual left in you, and that's gonna wash out over the field all around you. You're also, when you hold that, it super powers up, it radiates the energy, the mastery, the effectiveness, the wattage, the sheer force of your abilities, whether you have them or not, or you're working on them, wherever, it doesn't matter, any level of that, so that you can then notice on more in-depth things. It could be a telepathic noticing, because telepathy is all done, okay, there are slightly different kinds, but mostly the clearest one is clean is through the heart. It's the high heart, right? So when that's done, then you can pick up something either from, it doesn't have to be someone right in front of you, like at a grocery store or something. It could be, the actual being who's making the message that you may have gotten head up about, which could just been, because you're reading a headline in a newspaper or on a TV screen or computer screen or whatever. But now you can notice that again because you've connected with that field. And because you're not head up about it, instead you're illuminating what that frequency is. You can see other things. You can start to get in. You will be able to pick up on the energies of the frequencies of the conversations that have been going over there. One way to say it is you could start to see the plan and the plays, right, and the moves and the counter moves going on around those kinds of things. So you are your hot intel You got the hot intel right there with you. And it's clean and clear because if you're doing it that way, again, you're not, if you don't get head up about one way or that, yay, head up, or head up, right? About whatever that is. And you keep holding that neutrality, then more will come in. So, for example, with somebody, we'll talk like the neighbor type scheme for a minute, right? So, if you hold that neutrality, and then there starts to become a little bit coming through of the telepathy, then you can see that's a way to know to just send an answer back that's not necessarily specific, but it's around, could be, but it's around putting more radiant light on if something that there's a something that's a chaotic piece they're worried about, or they're thinking about this or whatever it is, and by shining that light they get it back. It could be happening something that you actually say, it could be something you intentionally emit, a telepathic communication, or just a vibration along that. It's a whole range of things. So as it relates to what we're specifically talking about here, it's going to help you navigate all the minefields in every iteration, internal and external, that are there. It's going to help you be of service to all. It's going to be help you be of service to Gaia because she's moving and expanding, and you're helping clear and clean all that without taking any of it on yourself. That's over. Right, to then so that you're not transmuting it all through, in, clean, and then out. You're skipping that whole in step, right? You're also accelerating the timeline of more light, of more 0 point, which is where we're all going, even the bad players, because they can't get out of their role that they've chosen of the bad player until we unwind it and unbind it all.
Yeah.
And if you're wanting to do so, think maybe a little smaller scale or a little less global scale. So in these times that everybody's navigating and it's getting more chaotic and all hopped up, and suppose you want to get a different job, or you want to start a business, or whatever it is, and you're thinking, holy smokes, how am I gonna, right? But if you come from this point, then that's doing the exact same thing. You're having a little more specificity in your focus in that. And you can actually, if you're doing a job or doing a business, you can see how you can navigate the right immediate or just immediate future, right? And still start the business now, but how you can shape it so that when that smoke cloud disappears, you are right on the bleeding edge to be in line for what people will want and need and enjoy, right? Will be helpful for them in that new step. Now that could be a laundry, right? A dry cleaner that has a new way to clean things, because it just it doesn't matter what the business is, it doesn't matter what the service or the sector is. It's because you have made sure that you've integrated all the new frequencies going through there. And it means that you're not having to build something now, which is kind of in these energies, and then very shortly here, a lot of the smoke has really come up and now cleared, and you're thinking, okay, I guess we don't need that anymore. I can do a whole new thing, right? So it helps everyone, and it starts with you helping you, which helps everyone, which is a new tact for navigating the whole materialized world, because that's never been the way that it's supposed to. Yeah, you didn't get a HUD that way.
Well, you're exactly correct. I mean, that's just it at its very core, isn't it? As soon as As soon as we all really grok it, and I'm using that words very specifically on purpose. As soon as we all have that, and I'm so thankful to Jeannie for this because she came up with it, the greater realization of knowing. That's what grok actually means. It's a word for those of you who have read Heinlein's Stranger from a Strange Land. It just always, for me, it always meant exactly what Jeannie brought in, a greater realization of knowing. It's deeper than understanding, right? So once what you're describing there, BZ, what you were just describing there for me is once we grok the truth of who we are, once we really come to know that, and I'm saying it in that way because I think I know.
Yeah, we suspect it sometimes.
Say what?
We suspect it sometimes.
Right? I'm suspecting that I'm a creator. I have some very, what some might say, anecdotal, not so much me, evidence to really show that we do create our own realities as we move through them. And after some of the things I've been shown, I really do feel like that's so once we all really know that, and I mean the knowing of that, the full embodiment knowing of that, what you were describing there it just will be so different. That those 2 hours I spent today with that young man that was here, I could feel that, first of all, he grokked what I was saying about the fact that we are all one and yet singular. And the moment we actually truly get that, and I mean really truly get that, there's going to be no need to force anybody to want to do anything any differently than what they want to do, because it's just another portion of me having a completely different experience to inform the all that is of what's available here and everything else. And we don't have to, it's this whole idea that everything has to be done this one specific particular kind of way, and we all got to walk this way, and we all got to talk like this, and all that kind of BS. That was all just for the game of domination and control, and that's what we're unwinding and unbinding now. And so what you're speaking on there, and that I feel like when folks actually have that conversation and they really do grok it, it's what I want to say is almost a come to Jesus moment. It's when you really, really know, man, all this stuff we've been doing out here is just crazy town, right? I don't know. It was wild.
But but in love absolute and very expansive, because when we're not sitting little in the chair here, we're thinking, hot damn, look at us go, man. This souffle is rising and it doesn't fall. These muffins are nice and plump with the blueberries and everything, right? I mean, this is how it goes. And one of the things that you were talking about where you grok that, and I would add to that, is that since you are eternal and since you are ever expanding, you can grok it here and grok it here and grok it here, right? So as you expand, the grokness and all of the different perspectives and perceptions and angles and all the apertures that you can keep widening and widening and widening, you will continually grok it at profound levels and vantage points. Yes. And
you're absolutely right.
so as you do this right this moment and bring this forward, it changes everything from your singularity's point of view, which, since you're one and all, it changes all of that.
Lisa, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, as an eternal being, this is so delicious. The moment that you reach satisfaction of your heart's desire, you give birth to another one. Never
Yeah,
know.
I
You
love
have another
that.
heart's desire.
I think that's another reason why I like that word grok too. BZ just really hit that with it when you, because you, because it is a greater realization of knowing, and that doesn't mean it's going to stop being, oh okay, oh, and that's even greater, and oh wait a minute, oh, and that got even greater, and oh wait a minute. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
it removes the idea of perfect knowing out of the way, and the reaching for something perfection, or reaching for the summit of the knowingness,
Right.
because
There is
you
none.
know there is
right,
none.
there
There,
is,
there are, or they're unlimited in the summitnesses of knowing. You just keep summit. The mountains keep expanding, and they get more vast, and they get more beautiful, and you may not climb 3 steps and fall 52 million, and then climb three, this time you're gonna fly up a couple miles, and then roll around in a ravine for a minute. And so you change how you do that, right?
yeah,
But right this moment, and the other thing that's really, came in a minute ago very clearly, and I think it's time to start to have, there'll be a couple many iterations, because it's such a big subject, but we're just about, and maybe now I will actually make, but we're just about at the place where we're, so if here's the fold, so this is above the fold, and this is below the fold, and we're just about here on the whole program of the unwinding and unbinding, right? Which is the topmost part of below the fold, which is the financial slavery piece. It's actually, in the not obvious and right up front public realms, it's rapidly expanding and moving, and that's taking every beginning, and some very fast, and some, if they're in the cement or thicker viscosity, right, it'll take them a little bit longer by their choice, if they can right to the other side right away. But that's coming, so very quickly now. This will be fully out and investigating, and to investigate by each person's meeting it and connecting with it, right? But we're starting to come where we're going to start to navigate and illuminate and be illuminated greatly by the above the fold. And so these skills that we're talking about here, these consciously choosing to intentionally be these, it's more than doing, to be these things. We'll talk about navigating the the minefields. This is going to help you, because there's a lot of minefields
Yeah.
when you cross over, and you're now just inching your way up above the fold. They're all beautiful, they're all gorgeous, but because of the resonant field that so many have been ensconced in for so long, um, there's a tremendous amount of shattering that will occur.
yeah. I I got to be honest with you, that actually came in for me quite heavily today. I those of us that have been looking at not just our spirituality, but the truth of the way things have been going, there are folks out there that have never been exposed to any of that, one way or the other. They might have heard a few little things about, conspiracy theories and them tinfoil hat wearing people over there, that sort of thing. But so when you were talking about that shattering just now, because it's a lot. It's a lot, and there's an awful lot that even those of us who've looked into a thing that think we know something. So it is a lot, and that shattering that's going to be taking place. I don't know. It's just that seeing as how I started waking up to the corruption on the planet first, right? Looking at all the conspiracy theories, which are, now looking like conspiracy facts to me. But that's just me. And goes such a long way to explain why everything looks the way it does right now. If you have been looking into it, you kind of get it now, why everything looks the way it does. But at any rate, for folks that haven't had any of that, right, it is going to be really tough. So for those of us who can hold that frequency, hold the, navigate these minefields and our own mind fields, moving forward,
that will help you, because
and actually provide quite the service for others as well. Even so I see exactly what you're saying. I don't know, it just smacked me in my face.
Because they're being touched by it. So when you intentionally hold and emit and evoke, right, and have this whole envelopment of this neutral frequency and the 0 point around, within and around you, you may have a little dimple here and there of pocket that's, right, you just fluff it out. But when you do that intentionally, and this means every single day you begin that, and throughout the day you continue to do it and you enhance it. And why? Because it feels most amazing good. And why? Because it solves the problems you thought you had. And why? Because it brings more love and abundance and joy and effortless into your life. Why? Because it's a way to be of service. Why? Because it's a way to get everybody to wake up quicker, right? So there's a whole lot of whys if you want to go linear about it and to do that. But all of those is because you agreed to do it, and that's why you're here. But when you're doing that, and as more and more of as we rise up, and to the top of below the fold, right, you're buffering and mitigating and releasing and dematerializing any capacities that you may have in your shattering, even if you've already done shattering before, in your whole journey to where you are in this moment, right? Because it lets you feel, it lets you get a sense of, it gives you a little bit of various readings and themes played on your telemetry array, right? That you haven't necessarily seen anything from a linear standpoint, but you can feel it. So those things are coming in. You're doing a whole integration process as you keep raising your lumières, and your radiance is shining intentionally, thinking, maybe down here lower, right? But that's helping buffer, right? And helping release any leftover viscosity that's thicker as you go up. So why? Well, because then you're going to alleviate some of the zingers that will come at you, right? And the shattering that will occur. And the shattering doesn't have to bring you to your knees. It will for most many's. It doesn't have to make you dissolve in this form and go on to the next. It will for many.
Well, I want to say something about the shattering, actually, if you don't mind, BZ, because it's really, I'm not the only one that's noticed this. Actually, I've seen it over the last 2 weeks, I guess, maybe, in some of the groups, some of the different Facebook groups, that I belong to and whatnot. So I've seen more than one person make the observation that everyone that they have come in contact with that they would say, is awake, right? Or waking up, or right, that sort of thing. Almost to one have had some kind of really horrific, traumatic experiences that contributed to that wake up. Just saying, like with me, my health was one of those mitigating traumatic experiences that I experienced that sort of woke me up to the truth of the fact that the healthcare industry really had not a whole lot of stake in curing me and my issues, right? That was, part and parcel of my waking up to the corruption, to the things on the planet, right? And so a lot of people have noticed that. And so I think when we try to protect ourselves from a shattering, in some sort of way, we're doing ourselves this huge disservice. And if we're trying to protect someone else from a shattering, that's even worse. Well, no, it could put things off for a little while, but it's even worse in my opinion, because it's like stepping in and out of your field and into someone else's, and doesn't assist anyone. And you're right, it will not work, and it can actually even backfire in my view. But at any rate, I just wanted to say that because it's very interesting to me that because I too have kind of noticed that. It seems like the most awake and aware folks have had some pretty horrific circumstances, and a lot of times have either been recovering from some horrific illnesses, which gave them a lot of time, which gave them a lot of reasons for researching and that sort of thing, and it leads to so much more, right? When your when your life is on the line and it's shit or get off the pot time, and you start see, that's so it's I think that I wanted to say that the shattering actually needs to be honored in some kind of ways, because
it's not about mitigating. And what I was talking about, in where someone is, as we all reach the top of below the fold. And so as you're doing this and you're focusing intentionally on your light and luminaries, all that kind of stuff, you are going to help get ahead of the shattering that will occur, for you as you come above the fold, regardless of where you are, regardless of where you've been in your journey, regardless of how open your heart is or one thinks that it is, right? And all those things, I can guarantee you that there will be shattering. And that's ultimately a good thing. But, I've been saying this for, I don't know, decades anyways, and it's been different things at each time. But for all the things that I know and have a direct experience of knowing and have experienced and have walked through and have seen on all levels, and know, underneath and on the inside, and the big picture on and off planet and ethereal and not, which is, a fair amount. I mean, my fingers are way too big a measure, right? And so, yes, there will be shattering, but as I personally, and that's one of the reasons I've been asked to bring this forth, is that as we go through this, we filter it up. So when those things come, the shattering will be can be such that it's a moment, it will be, a piercing that will have ramifications throughout your whole electromagnetic system, all of your bodies, and it will be so piercing, the velocity and the all-encompassing shatteringness of it will be sweet because it's so intense in that moment. And it's like you go, and in that in breath, you have that helps mitigate some of that shattering. And then in the release, it's like, whoa, I mean, right? Scales are just falling.
Well, and so I'm not sure. Joseph Brian Royster has joined us, and he's saying shattering what, and he wasn't quite sure. And I don't know if he's maybe just joined us. So, do you want to take a stab at that? For me, I've recognized it as, for one thing, anytime I have a shattering, it's a belief system for me, almost always, that's involved in that shattering. And also it can also have a lot to do with, like I said before, for me, some of the shattering has been traumatic, like health issues, or waking up to this, almost like a shattering that has to do with the waking up. It's almost like you can't have a waking up without something being shattered.
Right. Well, if you think of a shell or some kind of barrier that you've put on you, which is between you and you, all of you, that needs to be shattered.
Right.
And so that it can be at the same time on multiple different levels and layers that are physical and non-physical, that are in various different bodies, right? So your physical body, right? It can be in the mental construct, or your emotional, or your energy as in, oh, I got a lot of energy today, I'm excited, right? Or I don't have any energy. So all of those things, and all at the same time, and various iterations of that. And when you're playing in what we're talking about today, not only is it changing everything for you for the absolute most orgasmically delicious benefit that you could even possibly imagine just a smidge of, the beauty of that is that it changes it for all, and then it keeps raising it for all. But we're not playing a small game, and so the shatterings will be quite cataclysmic, and that's a really good thing. But it will behoove each being to become more and more conscious, and to consciously, intentionally walk through this into the light. So one thing of shattering is, it's interesting because an awful lot of even the health issues, and for the ones that I've had, and the big, the way I seem to do it was, I'd have one area of my life, and it would be, very traumatic things on different levels coming in, tangible, and that would clear out a lot here, and then there would be some over here, and some, so they keep rolling in. And but what's happening is that it's one thing to say and feel it and really think that you know it, that you're an eternal being, or that you're loved beyond measure. You don't need to do anything or be anything or go anywhere. You just are that. And then you do things intentionally, and you play with, such as playing with what we're talking about now, intentionally, and and committing and making it be the highest priority in all of your endeavors. And you can do a whole lot of other things in the same day, but that is always the highest priority. That is always the highest focus. And when in whatever what else you're doing, you know, working on this, working at work, doing this, whatever it is, that's always running not only in the background, but in a totally enrapturing foundation around whatever else it is that you're doing, making, creating, working. It doesn't fill in the blank, doesn't matter. That so when you make that intention and you do that, that is the most important thing, you will help ease any shattering. But there will be shattering, but there'll be more of a sweetness to the shattering. It'll still have that laser point piercingness, but on some level you will have been expecting just that laser bolt, just that thing, and so the sweetness will come through in a really exquisite way. So when someone asks what's the shattering, it's oh, I know, I was one of the ways I was going to describe it. So you think and you feel that it's true, you're honest with yourself, and you've felt it, and you've had different experiences, and so it's being honed and honed and honed more for you, that you are cosmically delicious and you are unimaginably brilliant and beautiful and creative, and this amorphous and tangible being that shines this light and has this way of moving in this world as a focus in a way that is singularly unique in all of Source's multiverses on any plane. It just is so. So even if you have gone through things and done those things and you feel the exquisiteness of that, you truly feel it. And you can feel, as I'm saying the words, that touching you in your own experience of that, there will be a shattering that occurs on that level and many others as you go through above the fold, as the above the fold things come down and settle down into the materialized, the linear, to the form of the landscape that we're in the embodiment part. Because all of that will expand more and all of that will raise more. But as they meet and integrate, there will be a shattering. And if you haven't come to those places yet, if you haven't had the experiences that I'm talking about now, that you're feeling even just from the resonance of my words now, there will be a shattering. There will be multiple shatterings. And they will be just as exquisite. They may be a little sharper for the fierceness, because up until the moment prior, you hadn't made that choice. One is not better than or less than the other. It's simply in that moment, because you're the expert for you, how you've chosen to do it.
Yeah, I like that. Every time I ever hear the word shattering, though, I always, it always brings to mind that piece that I recorded early on here on Conscious Conversation Central, the Starseed contract. And I left that old recording there, but I'm pretty sure I did. But I think I redid the recording also once I found out who channeled that piece and got the actual original piece. So I'm going to link that in the show more section here too, because I'm feeling to do so. And just for anybody that for some reason I'm feeling that on this conversation in regards to shattering. So yeah.
And I'll remind you, because I'll get it from you when you give me the thing.
I gotcha. All right. No worries. Wow, this has been an awesome one, BZ. And I actually, I'm really very glad that you contacted me this afternoon. This was a really We hadn't planned this. I mean, we planned to get together, but we didn't know it was going to be alive. So, wow. But do either one of you have anything to add to this one? Because I think it's going to take a bit to settle for me. It's almost like I got a new, and I can't really put it into words yet, but there's something.
Something has changed.
Yes, a greater realization of knowing in regards to neutrality has come in for me too, I think. But I can't put it into words yet, if that's makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where you feel something's changed, you can feel a difference too.
Me?
Well, I was speaking to BZ, but yeah, you too, because you're right here too. You feel everything.
Yeah, no, everything has changed. And even in the last couple of days, there's like an amping up, and it's still amping. So, but it feels very exciting. It's a very good amping up.
Well, this conversation was timed to come in as we're amping up more and more to the Lionsgate.
Oh,
Well, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Well, I don't know. It's just so wild. I have to tell y'all, I took note at about oh, okay. I was just showing why that okay, so I took note of the time at about 1:20 this afternoon.
okay.
Because I was feeling as though something huge had just taken place. Don't ask me where, with who, what's that about? What do you mean by huge? Don't ask me. I don't know. All I know is that I felt yeah, right. So, and then when I was just getting ready to share that with you guys, I think that it might have had something to do with that young man that was here today. Because the minute I started to share that with you guys, I was flashed his face. So it was very interesting. To the point of someone in neutrality and wouldn't know what the hell are you talking about neutrality? Okay, because I could tell that this young man, that's where he lives, is in neutrality. What you're describing of neutrality, what I now get as neutrality, that's where he lives. But would probably, what the hell are you talking about? I don't get, you know what I mean? So it's not, I guess the reason I want to bring that up is because when I first started hearing stuff about spirituality and all of that, I didn't quite grok much of it, as you know, I've shared before. And it's only really been my exposure and hanging out with the two of you, and you know, earlier on, you know, being exposed to Laura Walker's Oracle report. That's always got to give her a lot of credit there for trying to understand energy, right? But so, and I don't know why that felt important to share just then, and now it's completely gone. So please just ignore the crazy lady on this side of the webcam. I don't know why. What the hell that was that? What was that? Anyway, I got a feeling that was important. Whatever that was earlier today, I feel like it was important because I stood in the kitchen. I was like, something big just happened. I don't know what it was, but I could feel it. It was like something changed, you know? And so I don't know. It was just very interesting.
Well, and I think too, I know that as each being hears this, feels this in whatever iteration, may not be anywhere near, but now it's in a very concentrated and intentional way. It's in the field of all. That this will be picked up more and more. People will do it in their own describing way, in their own unique way, and that's absolutely the recipe to do it in. But it's, the time is absolutely now to do it. And because it does move everything down the road quite quickly. We by the very act of having this conversation, and those who are feeling into it in whatever iteration, wherever they may be, they don't even have to know about YouTube even, right? Um, it's hyper accelerated what is able to manifest now.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel you're right about that. Smack on about that.
Yeah, I'm getting excited by the chaos now because I know, oh my, we have called this forth. And the only reason why we're seeing the amount of chaos we are seeing right now, to be clear, is because of the amount of light we have present. It is revealing everything. So how delightful is that? We have called this forward. This is crazy town because we have asked to be seen, to see. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening now. So that can be a very exciting and joyful time too.
Absolutely. Well, think of, the saying, blinded by the light. It's like when the light, if you drive around, you go like this for a moment, right? So everybody's going like this because
Well disoriented.
except that the light just
You
envelops
see.
right around behind their hand or whatever it is, and keeps coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yay.
Well, ladies, if neither one of you have anything else you'd like to add, I have a couple of housekeeping things I would like to share with folks. So, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Go forth and shine bright, bright, bright.
There it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Love you guys.
Love you guys too. Well, what I want to share with everyone is, well, first of all, I'm just going to go right because yes, Brian Roycer just reminded me that Sunday is the Lion's Gate, and Conscious Conversation Central will be live on Sunday in some sort of capacity. I don't know how or with who or what I'll be doing. I just know I'm going to be live. Not just alive, but I will be live right here on the channel at some point during the day. So you can look for that one.
Love it.
Right. And I also want to say, we'll see what else. I am going to start coming back and doing more lives. I know I haven't been on a lot because, hey, I was doing a whole lot of that. What was that we were talking about? It was not the shattering. I've not been shattering so much as, not really quite sure exactly what I've been doing over here. Diving in the depths of the shadows. Yeah, there's some of that. Swimming around, pulling them up, integrating them, dancing with them a little bit, and then pulling them up and integrating them. But I also have been away from doing a lot of lives and a lot of conversations because of my classes. And I did announce before that I am now beyond quantum healing practitioner, and I will be doing that soon. So there are a lot of really cool and interesting things coming up. I'm hoping that I'll have loads more to share with folks very soon, not just about Conscious Conversation Central, but other things as well are coming down the pike that I'm not really fully in the loop on, but I know a little bit about. So I'm getting excited about some of that sort of stuff too. So I want to tell everybody, Jim, if you have not already subscribed to Conscious Conversation Central, please make sure to do so. Double click that notification bell. And if YouTube has decided that I don't need to be shadow banned that day, you'll get notified. But of course, you may not be notified because sometimes they like to shadow ban me. And also, if you're subscribed here and you're not already subscribed over at BZ's channel, I would highly recommend you go over there and subscribe as well, because BZ and I both put up different videos. We do videos together, but we have our own separate channels. And also, I'm getting a lot of new folks interested in Conscious Conversation Central. So be sure to look in the show more section of this video for a link to the IUV, which is the place for information about what's happening as the crumbling of the old game is happening, and also where information about the new game that's rising, and you know, as we come into the truth of who we are. So that's for those of you who won't see this now, but you really want to go and look now, go to i-uv.com. I'm also going to take a few moments here and tell everyone, August 10th, 11th, and 12th, Mike Lindell, you know, the My Pillow guy, is going to have a cyber symposium where he is going to prove that he has the packet captures and that the election was stolen. So I'm going to go on record right here, right now, and say that I make sure to go to frankspeech.com and look at the 4 documentaries that he's already spent almost $20 million putting together. He's also issued a $5 million challenge to any qualified IT person that can come to that symposium and prove that he doesn't have the proof that the election was stolen. So if you're an IT guy and you want to go prove it, go look it up, frankspeech.com. This is not happening. They're not telling this on the mainstream media. Tell your friends, tell people in line while you're waiting. Hey, did you know? Because here's the thing, guys. These folks that aren't awake, they're not getting this information. They're not getting it on even those of us who like Q Team, who got so incensed, and he was trying to share that now he's not even allowed on Facebook, right? Because they're not allowing that. So it's what it's going to take is having conscious conversations while staying in neutrality. Because if you get all head up, they're not going to hear you. They're just going to write you off as a conspiracy theory nut job. So I'll tell you what I've done is I'm just telling some truths. You know, I started out with these two young men by asking them if they were aware that the Secretary of State of the United States turned us all in, wants us to be investigated for systemic racism right here in the United States. Gee, thanks, Mr. Blinken. Didn't know you thought that we were all closet racist. And so, you know, by calling attention to, hey, did you know some of these things? And then following it up by, hey, you know, I heard this My Pillow guy, you know, everybody's making fun of him, but he's already spent $20 million and he's issued a challenge. I think there might be something to this guy. Maybe that's why nobody's talking about it, except for when they're ridiculing him. So I wanted to spend a few moments to have everyone take a look at that too. Go to frankspeech.com. Make sure you're signed up so you can see it when it's live streamed. That is, if the internet's still up. So
I would also go, especially now, if this is prior to all of those dates, I would take a little spin down to your local grocery stores and other places and
stock up a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I just wanted to throw that in there because honestly, when we when it all comes down to it, everything that those of us that have been trying to put things out there on Facebook and things like that, the algorithms are keeping it. We're the only people that are seeing that are the other folks that are putting it out there too. I'm just letting you know. That's the way those algorithms work. That's another reason why I don't really put a lot out on Facebook anymore, because, you know, it doesn't seem to work. No, instead, I'm just having some, you know, in-person conversations now, other than this, because, you know, hopefully someone down the line will start, you know, expressing an interest. So far, because especially when we do these lives, ladies, they haven't messed with them. I just knew that the last Friday free for all with Kevin and Lisa and I was going to be taken down. I just knew it. I just knew it because we were all over the vaccine question. Boy, oh boy, that was, I'm telling you, and they left it alone. So I think the conscious conversations live are, and oh, that's the other final, the final announcement I want to make. I am, excuse me, I am creating a playlist on Conscious Conversation Central, and it's going to be entitled Blogs That I Feel Nudged to Share. And it will be blog number 1, blog number 2. The title will not be there. The author will not be there. You will have to click on the video to see what I was nudged to share. And the reason for that is hopefully they won't take it down, because there's a crap ton of really good articles lately that I have been nudged to record and share. And I know the minute I put it up, they're going to take it down. I just know it because they've already done it to 2 of my articles before that weren't mine. You know, the one I did from John Rappaport and the one I did from David Geddes about the Great Reset. So look for that. That will be out by Friday. And I guess that's it. That's all I had. Thank you, ladies, for this so much. Till next time, everybody. Choose joy. Mwah.
Fun.
Bye.